Oh, whoops.
We can't do it. It can't be done.
That's my youngest daughter. 2012, 2013, we did a radio advertising campaign, which was incredibly successful. One of the first, I mean, people say crazy stuff all the time, but I was one of the first plumbing companies on the radio. And we had to cancel the whatever we want to call it, the promotion, the campaign, because the phone just rang off the hook. And that was, like I say, back in 2012, 2013. There's since been quite a few plumbers on the radio. I don't know what success they had, but it was a fantastic medium for us when we were trying to figure out where we were going to go. First thing, I want to thank everybody for dealing with my frenetic posting last week as we're trying to figure out the best way to make this all happen. If you don't know what frenetic means, then you should look that up. You should stop this right now and go to your Google machine and type in frenetic and learn a new word. And then I can say I've done some good in the world. You should learn something new every day. Here were the two rules for me when I was plumbing with my father. There were two rules. You should learn something new every day, and you should bleed every day. And I'm pretty sure, I'm not sure I bled every day, but pretty dang close. Cut yourself on something. Anytime, if you guys work with sheet metal at all, that's a guarantee. You're absolutely going to slice your finger or your hand or your arm or your shoulder or something as you're working with that stuff. So I got a lot of feedback from that plumbers are more valuable than diamonds, which is great. There's been a lot of people that have expressed an interest in jumping on and doing a podcast in the barn. This is, I should start off. My name's Bob Baker. I run Baker Plumbing. I have since 7, which is, I guess, almost 20, is that 20 years, 30 years? I've been involved in the plumbing trade now for, let me go on the phone to ring. I've been involved in the plumbing trade for 40 years. It started with my dad, officially, not what some of those guys like to say when they walked into a Home Depot, but actually working on the truck when I was about 14 years old. My dad focused on renovations, new builds, a little bit of a country service, like residential service. We did lots of wells and 10,000 septic fields. And so I know the best thing about my education is I was able to learn a lot and do a lot and understand a lot by doing it hands-on. And that's the best way to do that. And that's the focus of this little podcast. We're going to try and keep these around 15 minutes or so. Everything will be on YouTube. We are exploring YouTube live and all the rest of that stuff. So it should be fun and exciting. If you have something that you want to say or something that you think you can contribute or a discussion you want to have about anything, the plumbing trade, about the world we live in, politics, religion, I don't care. It's the beauty of this is just to bring spotlight to the trade, that we are engaged, that we are educated, that we are aware of what's happening in the world, and that, try and remove that stereotype that we're just a dumb tradesman, dumb blue collar people. And unfortunately, I don't think the influencers of the world are helping that at all. Most of those influencers are dumb, and they portray the trade in a negative light, in my opinion. If your biggest flex is selling t-shirts, then I don't know how that helps the trade. As usual, that's my thoughts and not yours. What I wanted to focus on today was a little bit about the 3 sectors within the plumbing field. There's 3 of them as far as I'm concerned. There's obviously divisions within that, and I think this is true of just about any trade: HVAC, refrigeration, electrical. All that stuff sort of falls within these 3 sectors. Number 1 is the residential field. That is by far the largest pool, the easiest to enter. That's where most people start their journey in the trade, is in the residential side of things. And it is the least lucrative. You're dealing with the most competition, the easiest stuff. As I like to say, most of residential plumbing is kindergarten plumbing, or it should be to you eventually. There are no doubt some technical aspects of dealing with whatever, but it is basic plumbing. And not only in the residential field are you dealing with other plumbers, but you're dealing with the DIYers and the Home Depot dudes and all the rest of that stuff. And the beauty from my perspective is most of those guys don't know what they're doing. And part of the reason that we're so busy is because those individuals think that they can compete in my world, and they simply can't. Where we spend most of our time as Baker Plumbing is in the commercial sector. So that would be the restaurants and retail side of things, the malls. The malls need lots of plumbing. Of course, there's the hotels and hospitality industry. Those guys are heavy users of plumbers. Their whole business is based around sanitation, speedy service, providing hot and clean and edible meals, or rooms that are clean and sanitized. And you can't do that stuff without a plumber in the background making sure that your own systems are uh, hot and clean and sanitized. So we spend a great deal of our time, and I made that switch in about 2008 to the commercial thing, and frankly, it was the best thing I ever did. Has provided just an endless array of opportunities and problems to solve. And since that time, we have never not been busy. I think that's a double negative. Double negative makes positive. Never not been busy. We've just always been gangbusters. There may have been a day or an afternoon where everything got wrapped up and everybody was able to cut out early, but for the most part, it's been an incredibly busy and lucrative part of the business. The last one is sort of the industrial side of things, which we do a little bit of, not a ton of it, but a little bit. The challenge with the industrial side of things is most of that is a union work, government work, hospitals, plants, like here in Alberta, lots of oil field plants, refineries, whatever the case may be. Lots of those are government regulated, government controlled, are certainly government influenced, and they want government workers working on it. So we don't do a lot of that. I have particularly consulted in some of those places to give them. We've done a bunch of cement plants and some high end food processing. It was back in the day we used to do all the work for Cargill, which I didn't mind not getting back. That place smelled like death, but they would slaughter 3,000 head of cattle a day. Crazy efficiencies. If you ever get the opportunity to dive into one of those places, you should look at that from a business lens and just see how well and efficient they run their businesses. It's incredible to me. So those are, as far as I'm concerned, those are the three. If you're looking to get in, I got a bunch of DMs last week about people asking what's the best route to get into the plumbing field. And my suggestion is residential construction. Get in there, learn how buildings are built, learn how venting works, how drainage works, what's happening underneath the cement. If you can understand that and know how those things work, then you're able, if you decide to move to the service end of things, then you can use that knowledge to troubleshoot whatever problem you're coming up against. I think it's awesome. So if you're looking to get into this trade, and I would suggest it's the same for the other major blue collar industries, that you want to get into the residential construction industry. It is sort of the funnel that brings everybody in, and then once you sort of have your base on that, then you can jump around and do a myriad of things. The opportunities are limitless. There's nothing that you can't sort of dive into or explore and make money at. As we talked about, there's such a demand for the trades, and all this advocacy has not changed things one iota. In fact, the numbers continue to fall. I won't go into the numbers between men and women, but even with all the advocacy for getting women in the trades, in my opinion, it's a failed experiment. We've gone over the last decade from 3% representation to 3.9% 3.9 to 3.7, depending on what graphs you look at. And you've spent billions of dollars trying to advocate for those sectors, and it just hasn't made a significant difference. That said, no matter who you are or what you do, if you decide to take this trade seriously, the opportunities are absolutely outstanding. And you don't need to be big and huge. You don't need those crazy softwares. I am going to do one on Jobber and Service Titan, which in my opinion are the Amways of the blue collar world. Those softwares, you've seen the advertisements. You're telling me that the landscaper went from 700,000 gross revenue to 7 million gross revenue in 2 years because he bought a Jobber? That's impossible. My fan just kicked on. It gets hot up here in the barn. And so you would be better served. I've said this before, but I'm going to try and say it more eloquently now. You would be better served to take your money and spend $1,000 to maybe $2,000 and join a adult learning or night class where you can learn about how a business works, business management, accounting, a credit, how all that stuff's worked, and you can take those tools and apply it in your life, and it would serve you far better than buying some, stripped down software that is basically based on the subscription model. When I took those courses in university and college about business, it was all about reoccurring net revenue. That was the word that everybody wanted. It was, you just want to repeat it without having to put in the effort. And that's turned into the subscription model, which I absolutely disagree with. I don't think it serves us. It doesn't serve anybody but the business. I think it's disingenuous and dishonest to the customers. And most of it's just taking advantage of people. We'll talk about that more on another one, and maybe I'll bring in somebody that we can have that chat with. But I will say this: Baker Plumbing it's me and my two boys. My daughter just joined the team, and she's running all the scheduling and the dispatch and all that sort of thing. It's working out marvelously. In fact, the boys were just complaining last week about how busy they were, and they were working till 7:00 every night, and this is crazy, blah blah blah. And yet on Friday, when they got their paychecks, nobody was complaining about how busy they were. It was evident of what having a skilled dispatcher or scheduler doing that for you can change the numbers that you bring home. That said, I do find it interesting, and this will be my final point. When I was running my business, the big one, we had from about 2007 to 2017, I had 18 employees, 12 trucks on the road. Some of that was office staff. And if we continue on our current path by the end of 2026, I will eclipse the gross revenue with basically 4 people that I did with 18, which there's some factors in there, inflation, all the rest of that stuff. But the gross profit, the profitability is 3 times what it was when I had that big company. So if you can streamline and understand and dial in your business, which doesn't happen overnight, and figure out where your niche is, what's the word? The riches are in the niches. If you can figure that out, and you can, it just is going to take time and experience and getting out there and getting your hands dirty and your forehead bloodied to figure out where you belong and where you can be most profitable. And if you can do that, you will experience a lifestyle shift that I cannot explain to you, that you will have to experience yourself. Those are, as always, my thoughts, not yours. We'll continue with this. And like I've said here before, I'm excited to get to hook up with a couple of you and do some actual podcasting, go into the deep cuts, as they say. I kind of like this microphone. Closer you get to it. Anyway, I'm going to leave you with our little theme song and hope everybody has a marvelous Monday. Good luck out there. It's a holiday Monday here in Alberta. I think all across Canada. It's close to get out. It's a fabulous day. My thoughts, not yours. Build it. Don't buy it.
We are building a religion.
Yes, we are.
Bigger.
We are building bigger. You can build bigger. Do it.